All right, now we are going to begin the third paragraph in this beautiful mimer called Matza Zu, which the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, said in the year 1989. Yesh Lomo, we can say Shal Matzah Shano Ochlim, we can say that maybe the matzah that we're eating after the Torah was given, Hila Maila Yoter, this is higher, even the level of the matzah that's full of avav, of Pesach Rishon, or the Pesach Rishon, Shalifnei Matan Torah, that's before Matan Torah. Okay, what's the Rebbe saying? The matzah that the Jews ate before the giving of the Torah gave them faith, emuna. And we'll see, maybe we'll learn a mimer. There's a mimer in this book called Derech Mitzvotecha, beautiful book, very beautiful book, Derech Mitzvotecha. It is written by the third Rebbe of Chabad, and it explains a lot of the commandments according to Chassidut, Kabbalah. Actually, it explains the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic aspect that explains it. So there it says that when the Jews got matzah, they got this unusual faith in God. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but the faith of the Jews in God is different than everybody else's faith. We say in our prayers, Ein Kelokenu. There's nothing like our God. And there's a lot of religions in the world, and there's a lot of very earnest and spiritual non-Jews, and they believe in God. They believe in God. Why not? But the aspect of God they believe in is different from the God that the Jews believe in, or the aspect, if you want to call it, the dimension, if it's a proper word. The non-Jews believe in a God that keeps the world alive, that enlivens the world, spiritual. They believe that God is a spiritual force, and He enlivens the world, and He directs the world, or whatever, and you can pray to Him, and you can answer. But usually they say that God is really far away, so far away that you have to pray to something in the middle. Because you have to pray to a spiritual power that's a little bit more, how do you say, user-friendly, that's closer to us. So you pray to a spirit, you pray to a statue, you pray to a man, you pray to a ghost, you pray to a level, you pray to a awareness, you pray to this. There's religions that have hundreds and hundreds of gods. There's religions that only have, 2 or 3. The Jews, they believe in this God. In any case, the purpose by them of God is that there's God exists and I exist. And God is bigger than me, he's stronger than me, he's smarter than me, he's more aware of me, but I'm in the middle. God exists, but I also, Judaism says, in fact, nothing really exists except for God. That's the fact. Nothing really exists. All existence that there is in the world comes from God, and God's existence is so much more infinitely real, and that we, in a way, we have to say God doesn't really exist. God creates all existence. God's being is something totally above anything that we can possibly comprehend or relate to, and our existence comes from His. He's creating us all the time. So it's an intimate relationship that we cannot exist without God's creating us. God creates time. This is totally incomprehensible. This totally makes absolutely no sense. And this is the God of the Jews. That's called Sovev Kol Olmin. It defies all definition. Sovev means it's around, Kol Olmin, any limitation. And that's that's inside of the matzah that we're eating now. And there's levels in this also. There's levels of this awareness of the Sovev Kol Olmin. So first of all, there is God before midnight. He gave us this commandment of eating matzah. The Jews ate the matzah. That was this lowest level of faith in this aspect of God called Sovev Kol Olmin, and the Creator. Then after that, the Jews got out of Egypt. Then the Melech Malchei Amlochim, that God actually revealed Himself to them. That was a higher revelation in the matzah. And when we eat the matzah, we get this. Says the Rebbe that the matzah that we eat nowadays, 3,332 years after going out of Egypt, is even higher than that. Why? Because Ki Mikiv and Segilui, I'm on the third line, end of the third line. The end of the second line. Ki Mikiv and Segilui, the Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKodesh Baruch Hu, because the revelation of the King of Kings, God, that He's the rules. Why it's called Melech Malchei Amlochim HaKodesh Baruch Hu? it's explained in the Kabbalah that it's talking about what I'm saying, level over level over level dimension. This revealed the aspect of God that appeared to the Jews after midnight, and it's in our matzah she'anu ochlim after Matan Torah. Who? It is after Matan Torah. This is by means of kedimas, preceding avoda, the service, bekiyum Torah mitzvahs, in the course of the whole year. Okay, so God revealed himself to the Jews after they left Egypt. He's going to say a little bit. After that, there was a bigger revelation. And there was a bigger revelation, the revelation of the giving of the Torah. And in between that, there was even another revelation, which the Rebbe is going to say in the course of the Maimer is even higher. And that is the revelation when God split the sea. And this is all in the matzah that we're eating. Says the Rebbe, there's even another revelation. We, each and every one of us, has been doing Torah, been doing commandments the whole entire year. Good deeds. And those good deeds are also in the matzah that we're eating. That avodat Hashem is also in the matzah that we're eating, because that's the purpose of matzah. Matzah is the first commandment, and it includes all the other commandments. So it includes all the commandments that you do also the whole year. The revelation of godliness of this level we called sovev kol olmin, this which is beyond all definition, defies all definition, is in the matzah. And when we eat it, it goes inside of us. So it strengthens this personal inner connection that we have with our Creator, and it takes away a little bit this connection that we have with ourselves, with our ego. That a person thinks and feels and is certain that I'm the only existence. What is God? God is what is reality. If your reality is yourself, then that's what you think, that's what God is. Right? If your reality to you, the most real thing in the world is your money, is your family, is your pleasure, then that to you is God. That's called God. That's what you worship. That's what you devote yourself to. That was the whole thing of God telling Abraham to take his son, our father of Judaism, take his son and sacrifice him. Abraham was willing to give up all these other things that people make into their gods: money, success, comfort, security, pleasure, family, future. Abraham was willing to give up the whole entire thing, going to heaven, the whole business. If he would have killed his son, you can't kill people, even if God tells you to. He was willing to give up everything, lose this world, lose the world to come. Abraham, because he wanted the Creator was going to be his God. The Creator is good. That's the message of Judaism. The Creator is good. Do what the Creator wants, it's going to be good. Maybe it won't be the way you think is good. It may not be what you want, but it'll certainly be what you need. It'll be certainly good. Okay. Says the Rebbe that the inside of the matzah we have, if so, is this revelation before midnight, faith. And it's also the revelation of after midnight, godliness. And it's also the revelation of the giving of the Torah, even a higher level of godliness. And it's also in this matzah that we're eating, that we take inside of ourselves, that we digest, and it becomes part of us, is also the revelation of all of the commandments that we've done the whole year. Vehu gilei na'liyoter, and this is even higher. Because when we do a commandment, like we said before, a commandment is a connection to God. We don't feel it. Maybe there's some people that feel it, but we don't feel it says, schar mitzvahs b'hayal maleka. It says the revelation of what the commandments do is not in this world. That's one of the advantages. It says a person, after he dies, which we're not looking forward to this, but after a person dies, it says that it's called the olam ha'emet, because you see the truth. After a person dies and he leaves his body, leaves his natural personality, then you can see the truth. You can see the truth. You understand everything. That's what it means. You see the truth, understand it. You understand everything. The problem is you can't do anything. When you're up in heaven, you can't do anything about it. In this world, it's exactly the opposite. In this world, you can do, but you don't understand anything. You would understand what's going on. The commandments, what you understand. The Rebbe tells us. He feels it. He understands. Just like the Jews back then. They're going out of Egypt. They understood they're going out of Egypt. They didn't know what it meant. They knew that they would be slaves. They figured that's a Jew is a slave. A Jew is synonymous with a slave. That's what they figured. All of a sudden comes Moses and he says, no, you're not slaves. The Egyptians aren't ruling the world, right? Let's go. There's God. He's taking us out, the creator of the universe. We're going to make a new world. We're going to. Everybody said, okay, I don't get what's he talking about, but it seems that he's really earnest about this. And we are Jews, it's true. And there were the 10 plagues, and it says Vayamena Am, the people, they believed in Moshe, but it was just belief. They didn't have any idea what was going on, and we don't either. That's the fact, is we also don't. But when you eat the matzah, it comes inside of you that it's okay not to understand. It's okay not to understand. Like it says, what you can be half sure and wholehearted. It was a saying from Professor Viktor Frankl. A person can be half certain and wholehearted. Let's say, Al derech ma'alas agilui de Chag HaShavuos. For instance, the revelation that was on holiday of Shavuot, Zman Matan Toratenu, the time that the Torah was given. Sha'achrei avodah, that what was Matan Torah? We got the Torah 50 days after we left Egypt. Why 50 days? Why didn't God just take us out of Egypt and give us the Torah immediately? Why do we even have to leave Egypt? God decimated all the Egyptians. He could have given us the Torah in Egypt. Why? He says, first of all, he wants the Jews to know who's the boss. And he wants the Jews to go out of their own, how do you say, comfort zones. And then after that, they had to do what's called Sfirat HaOmer. Okay, Herschel, you with me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And the fish, they had to do what's called Sfirat HaOmer, counting the Omer. Counting the Omer. 49 days, every day they counted the day. It says every day they refined another one of the 7 aspects of the human personality. 7 aspects. In the Kabbalah, it's called the 7 midot, the 7 emotions. Which there's a lot written about this. There's a nice book by Rabbi Simon Jacobson that's also written about it, how to count the days and what the days mean, what the Kabbalistic ideas mean according to day-to-day life, improving yourself. This is after the service of going out of Egypt and after the service of counting the Omer. It's called counting the Omer. For another class, 49 days. It's a commandment to count the days, to purify your personality, and then there could be the giving of the Torah. Hagilui diatziat Mitzrayim imioto gilei nale. Even though the going out of Egypt was very, very high revelation, God revealed b'kavoda ba'atzmo, but nevertheless, Mekev and she'agiloi hoya, because this revelation was because of God. God did everything. He took us out of Egypt. They didn't internalize anything. Hari rak lefisha. It's like a spoiled child, right? You get a spoiled child that he's given everything. His parents are rich, right? The rich kid. His parents give him everything that he was. So when he finally comes to school, they say, everybody says, hey, you want to take some drugs? You want to say, why not? What's the problem? Right? Somebody takes away his pencil, he goes berserk, he goes home and gets a gun. Who knows what? He's not ready for the world. He's not. The same thing the Jewish people. The Jewish people, they got out of Egypt. God took them out. And he did everything for them. Did them the plagues and gave them bread from heaven. They were like the spoiled kid. They had no way of dealing with the world. No way whatsoever. The slightest temptation, the slightest problem, difficulty that stood in front of them, right? The slightest frustration or anxiety, all of a sudden they went berserk. Anything just in the world just drove them crazy. When they were in Egypt, everything was set. Clearly, it was like being in Alcatraz. Your day was set. This is what you have to do. The laws were clear. You just do it. Everything was okay. All of a sudden they got out. Things weren't set anymore. Who's the boss? God is the boss. Where is he? What are you talking about? He's giving you bread from heaven. So he says, oh yeah, it must be very important. God is giving me bread. God is. They still had their egotism. Egotism can be the biggest enemy of Judaism. On the other hand, it's the biggest friend of Judaism. God wants us to be ourselves. Everybody has to be unique. How do we transform from this false egotism to true egotism? It says that was the 49 days of counting the Omer. Every day they purified another aspect of their personality. In other words, another aspect of how you relate and you react to the world. And this was al yedei sfirat ha'omer avodat tachton. That was working from below to above. God said, now I want you to work for me. Now you're going to work. What do you have to do? Bring straw? Like I have to build more pyramids? No. Now you have to build yourself. Now you have to build yourself. Make yourself into a holy temple. Avodat tachton. You have to do the work. This is after going out of Egypt. Mamshichim. Then you can draw down after the 49 days. Then is revealed what? Achrei shlemot mem tet sharim. After the revelation of what's called the 49 gates of understanding. Then they came to Mount Sinai and they received what was called the 50th gate of understanding. Shar Hanun. The 50th gate of understanding, which is the source of all consciousness, the source of all intelligence. Shegam Sha'ar Zen Nimshach Ayedei Avodah, so that this was drawn down by means of their service. They did something in order to merit their service in this world. They didn't just receive, they gave. Ubashar Nun, and this that they got from the 50th gate, Nosaf al Bechinat Tachton Shabo. Not only did they receive what's called the lowest aspect of the 50th gate, which this is relevant to the 49 gates before it. This is like the level. It says there's two levels. There's the 10 sfirot. There's what we call Chachma, Bina, Dat, etc. But then above them is what's called Keter. That's what links one world to the next world. Keter, the crown, which is, by the way, relevant to this weird disease that was going around, Corona. This is the crown. That's the antidote. The antidote is that on Mount Sinai was drawn down not just the lowest aspect of this crown, but even the highest aspect, which is called which is called Atik. Atik means removed from any aspect of the creation. They received this on Mount Sinai, the Yetziat Mitzrayim. So in the matzah that we're eating now, we have, number one, the commandment of God before midnight. Faith is inside of the matzah, called the food of faith. We have the revelation of God after midnight. The King of Kings revealed himself to the Jews. It's in the matzah we eat. We have the revelation by the 49 days of Sfirat Omer, serving God. We have the revelation of the giving of the Torah, the 50th gate. And even more, we have the revelation inside of the matzah. And there's this connection to God that's above understanding. We have it inside of our matzah. Even all of the commandments and all the work of God that we did since the last Passover until now, all the blessings that we made and all the commandments, the results of all this is in the matzah that we eat now. So we see the matzah that we're eating now is more power-packed, it has more goodies than we can possibly imagine. And that's why matzah zu, this matzah that we eat, is impossible. It cannot rise. If you connect yourself to this, there's no corona, there's no egotism, there's no the confusion. There's happiness and joy in serving the Creator. Everyone will be able to go out of Egypt, as we'll talk about more, God willing, in the next class. Thank you very much. God bless you all.